Hurricane Helene's aftermath is unlike anything we've ever seen in Sarasota, Florida. We've never seen storm surge affect our area the way that Helene did. Let me show you a few clips from my previous video to show you what I mean. Absolutely devastating. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Matt Light. I grew up in Sarasota and I now run a real estate team in the area. I'm also a certified waterfront specialist, so I have a lot of thoughts on the recent storm, and I'm hoping to educate you on a lot of different things today. I typically make videos on new construction home options, different areas of Sarasota and things to do, and I also have a monthly newsletter that goes out to locals and soon-to-be locals that goes through the top things to really take notice here in Sarasota, and you can sign up for that in the video description below. But today, I want to talk about how I think Hurricane Helene will affect the Sarasota real estate market moving forward. So we're going to talk about what areas were affected, what's going to happen to those homes that were affected, and they might not actually be allowed to legally repair them. I'm going to get into that. But what specific markets are going to hurt from all of this? And make sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to tell you about an app that you can download if you're looking at properties on or near the coastline. You 1000% must download this before you go actually physically look at them. So the storm came through on Thursday, September 26th, and Sarasota didn't really have any damage from the winds or the rain, other than the casual fallen tree branch, blown over sign, things like that. But the real damage came from the storm surge. And I believe it was registered around 5 to 6 feet of a surge here in Sarasota. I'm not 100% sure. But this made a lot of the coastline and a lot of the islands and keys underwater for a short period of time. Areas that were just a little bit inland, they didn't have really any flooding whatsoever. So those of you looking for new construction, all of those communities that you're thinking about in your head right now, they were totally fine. They probably didn't even lose power. I'm talking about areas in Lakewood Ranch, Waterside, Palmer Ranch, east of I-75. A lot of those things that you've seen me do videos on, really, they got out unscathed. Now, the really interesting piece to rebuilding everything along the coast is going to be this thing that is called the 50% rule. And I bet that 99% of you have no idea what I'm talking about. The 50% rule is that a property along the coast cannot be renovated or improved more than 50% of the value of the structure. So let's say you purchased a home built in the 1980s for $1 million. The structure is not worth $1 million. The structure might only be worth $300,000. So the 50% rule says that you can't put more than 150 grand into that property. So if it needs more work or more money than that, you're really looking at demoing the entire property and building from the ground up to current code. So this is going to be a problem for people's properties that were destroyed and they can't rebuild it for less than 50% of the structure's value. So what would happen to a homeowner in this situation? Well, I guess they could probably go to the county and seek an exemption to the rule. I really don't know. Or they could demo the house and sell off the vacant land. And yes, obviously they would take a huge hit in doing this, but I have no idea how insurance carriers are going to look at this. Would they just give them the $150,000 based on the 50% rule? Or will they give them the full value of the insurance policy since they can't legally rebuild it? Other things that were drastically affected were older condo buildings. And many of these buildings were built, again, in the 1980s. That's when a lot of the infrastructure was built out on the islands and keys. So they are obviously below current code. Current code along the coast has to be built at an elevation of the BFE plus 1 foot. BFE stands for base flood elevation, and this changes with each property. Let me show you a FEMA map and show you exactly how this works. So this is a FEMA map, and let me show you how this works. So you see these things right here. If you see my cursor, you see zone VEEL 13. What that means is that the base flood elevation is 13, and in Sarasota, you're allowed to go 13 plus 1. So where you would start building this structure is you would start this at 14 feet. So you can see this is Longboat Key, and you can see right here is EL 9. So 9 plus 1 is 10. And then, over here is 11, 7, 9. So you can kind of see where current code is today. So this means that properties that are built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they're likely not this, are built at this elevation. So this is what current, if you were to rebuild a structure today, this is where it would have to be. So homes that need to be completely rebuilt would need to be built to this code. Had they been built to this code, they likely would not have flooded inside at all. So what about those older condos? What's going to happen to that market? Well, a few thoughts on that. Obviously, I think this is going to increase insurance premiums for those buildings which is likely going to be incorporated into their HOAs, their homeowners associations. And many of these owners, they're probably likely investors that own a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom condo. They Airbnb it, have a property manager, and these investors, they really are faced with 2 choices moving forward. One is to raise what they're currently getting for rent to offset the insurance increase, or 2, they're gonna sell the property, probably for far less than what it was worth several months ago. And they would need to sell it for far less because a new investor is gonna only purchase it if it has a good cap rate. And cap rates, they're defined like this. What is the net operating income of the property divided by the value of the property? So let's say a property brought in $100,000 in rent and was currently worth $1 million, and the cap rate of return would be 10%. But let's say the HOA goes up drastically and the property net income could now be, let's say, $70,000. So that property value would drop to $700,000 if we were trying to keep the same rate of a 10% return. So people who were looking or considering to move to Sarasota, they're still likely doing that, and they're thinking about doing that. And many of them are trying to still get out of the cold and enjoy 300 or more days a year of sunshine. So what's it going to do is cement even further in people's minds the areas that they were thinking about more inland. Like if you were sitting here watching this and you were thinking about, Matt, maybe I want to move to Waterside. Maybe you and I have been on the phone. We've had conversations about Waterside or Lakewood Ranch, Palmer Ranch, or east of I-75. It's just going to cement in your mind, yeah, that's exactly where I want to go. I don't want to be on the coast. And people who are on the fence about getting closer to the coast or being only 6 to 12 miles inland, they're could potentially just lean more towards going inland and being a 20 to 30 minute drive to the beach. So I don't really think the storm is going to prevent people from still desiring and wanting to relocate down to Sarasota, Florida. Now with new construction, this storm is going to slow construction down drastically. I mean, think about it. The entire southeastern part of the United States has a lot of rebuilding to do. Now I actually spoke with a developer this morning on my drive into the office, and he said that some of his contractors, they're already in Georgia. They're working on a hotel renovation that's paying them a significant amount of money to do so. So workers and supplies, that's going to be the issue in the short run. So in summary, the small 1 to 2 bedroom condo that was used as an investment is going to hurt from this. This market, I think, is going to come down. Markets like Lakewood Ranch, Palmer Ranch, east of I-75, a lot of the new construction homes, they're going to stay really strong because the demand for these homes is probably only going to increase from this. But now about the app that I referenced earlier in the intro of this video. This app that I referenced earlier is called My Altitude. You can find it in the App Store. You can download it for free. It's going to tell you what altitude you're currently standing on. So if you go look at properties on the water or near the water, open it up and check and see what elevation that you are at above sea level, so you can determine if it's high enough for your comfort level to avoid storm surge. This is especially important if you're looking at older properties that are not built to current code. But if you made it this far in the video, there's a good chance that you might be considering relocating to Sarasota, and I would love to jump on a call with you and learn more about your situation and how my team and I can help you. You can email me at info@mattlight.com or call or text the number on the screen. But here is also a video that I made of everything that you need to know about moving to Sarasota. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.